Mobile Money Limited is regulated by the Bank of Uganda. Well, this morning, like we said, we're talking. We have Engineer Andrew Begumisa, and which is Andrew Begumisa. Have you experienced, something of illness or pain, or because you can be here and people have perfect marriages and things are just smooth sailing ever since you married, the covenant you made through sickness and the health, what it didn't apply to you kubanga it is costing.
Thank you, Eki. When you introduced a topic and how you talked about that we did not have retakes, it took me back many years when we were at campus. A bit of a background. I was a star student, very intelligent guy.
You are intelligent.
Yes, I still am. That I don't discount that. But when I got to campus, I was diagnosed with a mental health disorder called bipolar disorder.
Okay.
And from the top of the country to retake after retake after retake after retake, it really floored my self-esteem and all the other things that defined me then as a man. But yes, I've suffered a mental health condition, which flies between high moments, those moments that can take you to Butarika, to low moments, those ones that can get you to commit suicide. And God has helped me in the journey along the way. So yeah, I understand what pain is.
Yeah.
I understand what suffering is. I understand what being given care by family is, as well as receiving the care. So I have a play between those spectrums. Yeah. So yeah.
And so to begin with, how did people in your family through experience, take first of all realize that hey, there's something amiss here with Andrew.
Was your family able to pick it up immediately, or?
I think for me I was a bit fortunate because, let me say this, because bipolar runs in families. It's genetic. You have to have a genetic predisposition. And it comes when you are 17, 20, goes on up to 40, early 40s. That's when it can be diagnosed. So for me, when it came, I was losing sleep, I was tensed up, the family picked the signals. They picked the signals and said, this guy, something must be coming along the way for him. So I was taken to the hospitals and started getting psychiatric care immediately.
Just for the person who's listening, can you give like 3 major signs of somebody who's
bipolar,
who's displaying symptoms or signs of being bipolar?
Okay, number one, I'll do all both spectrums. Okay?
Yes.
If it's on the higher side, one, you lose sleep.
You're always active, lost sleep.
You lose sleep. Number one, that means if you've been having your 8 hours or 7.5 hours of sleep, you sleep 2 hours and the sleep is not there. You see, Now, of course, sleep is a very big medicine for our well-being as human beings.
Yes.
That's a bad sign. Number 2, you are excited. I'm natural and extroverted person, but when you tip in a bit of bipolar, you become overly excited.
Yeah.
You're laughing, you're gaily,
you have energy.
You get it? The other last thing, and among the many, is that now you've got ideas. You will get grandiose ideas. Now, for me, at one of my highs,
I think I need to go and check because I'm such an ambitious thinker.
No, it's good to be ambitious, and don't mistake that. It's regulated. But I got up one day and said, you know what, see, economy is not doing very well. Let me go to Nakasero State House and tell Museveni to fix it. You see,
Literally?
Now, Vuka border, but now up to Nakasero there. You see, so that's one of, those are three of the many on the upper side. Now, when the thing hits you on the lower side, and the lower side, yes, an event can happen. You can be ashamed, maybe in public or whatever, or someone can say strong word to you. Now you tip. Beyond the high, you come to the low. You get it. Now, in the low state, you sleep a lot now. The other side, you are losing sleep. This side, you sleep. You don't want to even get out of bed. The little things that were pleasures for you, like maybe going out for a meal with friends or chatting with people, whatever it is, flip out of the window. You just feel you don't want it.
You just lose
You want to
interest.
be
The other thing is that you want to be alone. You see, now that is where the caregiving comes in. You see, now for example, ever since I got married, a very big blessing, turning point in my life. I've not had those explosive kind of episodes, but there's regulation. If my muchala notices that I'm not sleeping well,
Yes.
now she'll say, honey, I think no, you didn't sleep yesterday well, even today. Let's check in with the doctor on Monday. You see, just check regulation, caregiving. If you've lost your desire for work and whatever, she will do the same thing. If they excite you, try to do things that you love to do and stuff like that. So I think that's where the highs and the lows of bipolar come in. So that's beyond caregiving is beyond mainly only mental health. It goes beyond. People have children who have Down syndrome, who can't even communicate on their own. How do you even get the courage to give that care at the end of the day? Two things. Number one, compassion. Compassion and empathy. You need to realize as a caregiver that one, these guys, they've not got these things out of their own choice. You get it? Or someone has cancer. You have to be compassionate and show up every other time. The problem is when you are a person receiving care, you become entitled after some time.
Well, I'd like for us to pause right there.
Okay.
And come back. We'd like to focus on the individual.
Okay.
In this whole scenario. But love, 23 minutes to actually 22 right now to 9 a.m. And Momo Nyabo, deposit 20K or more on your mobile money for a chance to win Toyota Succeed and lots of mobile money. We're giving away 24 cars and over 2 billion shillings of Momo. Tune into MBS and Buketa TV every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure that you are careful of Abafere Balumba side by side. Only accept calls from MTN on 0312 120,000. And cool stuff happening this weekend. Our in-person gatherings are still on, but you have an option of having church as a cell group as you watch the service on air or online together. And here on PyFM we'll be streaming the service at 10 a.m. And for further details, please visit the website at www.watatochurch.com and all our social media platforms over the next couple of weeks. Let's have church together.
Indeed, and in studio we do have Andrew Begumisa, and just thank you so much for taking out time to join us.
You're welcome,
to speak to us today. It's Family Week, and today we're talking about how family members can cope with dealing with, members of the family who are dealing with chronic disorders, with conditions, with diseases, or even mental illness. Now, Andrew, right before we went for the break, we just want to look at the two spectrums of, first of all, the individual, how the individual deals with it, and two, how the family member or said caregiver deals with it. And I just want to start with the individual. I don't want to ask like a therapist or a counselor. I want to ask you, Andrew. How did you take it when you received the diagnosis?
Okay. It's a big one. But maybe before I go into how I took it, I just wanted the viewers the listeners, to understand and have a proper perspective of pain and suffering. So it's Family Week may be beyond mental health per se, or even other people are dealing with other things that are challenging to them. So pain and suffering is something that is very, very complex. It's mysterious to understand. Two things, the way I approached it was, one, I got to understand that Christ is with you when you are in pain. That makes a difference, because when you're confused and you're lost and you don't know what to do, you have someone to run to. Psalm 23 talks about, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, because your rod and your staff, they comfort me. A rod and a staff cannot be alone. That means the shepherd is right there in the midst of your journey as you go. When you have that at the back of your mind, then you manage the suffering. You walk through that valley, knowing that there's light at the end of the tunnel. The second thing is trust. Trusting in God above all, as an individual. You have to come to that point where your relationship with God is the personal. You get it? You see, I'm normally taken to the book of Job, very briefly, And another angle that we rarely hear about is that
man
when
experienced pain. And
hey
suffered.
man, guy, heavy, the kids are dying, the wife has abandoned him.
Yeah.
The friends are telling him, and you must have a big
Curse
sin.
God.
Yes.
So he comes in and asks God questions. What's this? What I don't understand this. I don't. You know, when God came towards the end of the book, he didn't answer any of the questions. You know what God said? He says, "Do you know where the expanse of the world ends? Do you know where the pillars that the anchor the earth are? How about the waters? Do you know how deep they go, or what expanse they are? Do you know?" God was trying to tell Job his majesty, his sovereignty. Yeah. So if you know that God is big enough and he has allowed that pain to happen in your life, you trust. Two things that have helped me a lot. You trust. You know, I will not know it all. God is up there, I'm down here. I could be a pawn, I could be a king or a queen or whatever, but he's in charge of the journey.
Right.
You get it? So that will help you. The last thing, before I get to the practicals of the individual, gratitude. Gratitude is something that is not understood quite well. How can we complain? We have the right. David complained. Those psalms are beautiful, but sometimes David is telling God, "Man, where are you? I'm in a cave somewhere." He whines and whines. But then again, he says, "No, but after all, you are God." So count your blessings one by one. You see, life is like I would liken it to a railroad. Some vehicles are going, some trunks are going this side, others are going on the other side. Good things and bad things happen at the same time.
Right.
You may be sick and you have a chronic condition, but your career is thriving.
Yes.
You may be sick, but your children are going to good schools. So capitalize on those areas that are working.
Right.
You get it? And be grateful for the little things, slowly by slowly. I have Yaka in the home. That means I was able to catch a Netflix movie or a match or whatever. You see it? So count your blessings one by one. So when you're walking in this journey, you realize that when you do those three things, they've helped me a lot. They've helped me a lot deal with the thing that I have never understood, but I accepted because I know God used me.
The first is
circumstances.
God is bigger than anything else, and He got you covered.
Yes, please.
Number 2, gratitude.
Yes, please.
Capitalize
trust.
on your blessings.
And capitalize on and then trust God. Yes.
So now being a bit more specific. One, if you've been diagnosed, whether it's cancer, whether it's mental health, take your medication. Take your medication.
Important.
We are Christians. Sometimes when we go to the extremes and say, "Man, no, God said we will be healed. We will not take medication."
Okay to believe that God heals.
It's very, very okay. But what's healing to God? How fast does He heal? You see, some people He heals immediately. Some people He heals along the way. It's the attitude that counts when you're in this valley. So take your medication as you're at it. Thank God that you can actually afford that medication at that particular moment. The other thing that is key is that have a good attitude. If you're listening to me out there and you've been blasted with a mental health issue or a sickness that you don't understand, have a good attitude. Try to be pleasant, because the people who are looking after you, they get fatigue. You get it? They get fatigue. You have to encourage your caregivers.
You know, yesterday I was at a funeral of a gentleman in Ntungamo. It's called, it was at a barrio actually. It's called Zach. What's his name? Gario, yes, Zach Gario. And he was a good guy. He was a cool guy. But then over time, he fell ill. And his wife, was looking after him. But she reached a certain point when it was too much on her. And she had to get help from a nurse. And the male nurse helped them through a lot. And so when you say people get fatigued, she said at one point she almost fainted. It was too much. That terminal or chronic illness. Everyone has had that moment. I remember when I had an uncle at the Cancer Institute. He was dealing with, I think, he had blood cancer, I think.
Okay.
Yes, but every time they would, give him blood, he spends the night. In the morning, he doesn't have the blood. So it was taking a toll on, family would go, would take turns, but it was taking a toll on the family. And chronic illness takes a toll not only on one individual, but on the entire family. Just like even a mental illness or a child who is dealing with any challenge, the whole family suffers. Children, parents, relatives who chip in. You know, there's so much that goes around. You're not alone. Yeah.
So you see, it's more complicated because for the person when you're in that particular scenario, you get it. It's like you feel misunderstood.
Yes.
You feel then you get to a point where you compare yourself with the other guys.
Yes.
Guys are getting degrees, guys are moving on, guys, and you think, what is happening to me as a person? So there's that moment of kwechawa. But the other thing for me that helped me above all is knowing God personally. You get it? So when they serve you food and they go out and you don't have appetite to eat, you pray. You cry out to God. The Bible says, he who calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved.
Yes.
You get it? The relationship becomes real and personal. The other issue is having authentic and loyal friends. You get it? That one is a huge one. Yeah? People who you know, of course, you build friendships based on good memories, based on backgrounds and other things, but keep those friends close.
Yeah.
Because you wake up and you don't have the energy to get out of the room, and there's a particular friend who just knows how to crack jokes. You laugh, and the storm comes a bit. You find a friend like Che, who's reflective, and they give you a bit of perspective or expound on the word. Authentic, loyal friends.
Wow.
So as an individual, you can count on those and make sure you live. Life is to be lived, man. You've got to enjoy the life.
So this is before we take a break.
Yeah.
So this is also a message to the friends. Are you authentic? When your friend falls sick or gets an accident, do you abandon them or you go to them? You know, are you there for them? Be genuine. Go visit. You will not. That's why Jesus said, when I was sick, you didn't visit me. Monveko. These are the things. These are the things.
Yes, indeed.
Go visit, go be there for your friends. We'll take a break and we'll come back with now the other side of the caregiver.
And at exactly 9 minutes to 9 a.m. here on Kickstart 104.1 Power FM, Paul Ekurot and myself, Che, with you still here, taking you all the way until 10 a.m. And today on Kickstart, we do have a guest, Andrew Begumisa, in studio, and we are talking about, how family members can deal with having other family members who are actually undergoing chronic conditions or different other kinds of issues. And just before we went for a break, we were speaking about how the individual reacts to their diagnosis. But now we want to look at the caregiver or the family member in question who has to be in proximity with this person. How are they meant to act? How should they react or treat this family member who is going through said condition?
Thank you very much, Che. I think for me, when the thing hits, because as a social person, I was loved in the family, both nuclear and extended, and so people came in, aunties, cousins, to try and caregive and do rounds, in making sure I don't run away to go to the street or things like that. But one thing for sure, as a caregiver, if something has come, some of the things come out of the blue. Someone gets an accident on Kampala Road, you didn't expect it. Someone's diagnosed with cancer, it wasn't coming. You get it? Settle it in your heart that this is my person, and show compassion. Compassion and empathy. You don't know how long that person will live, or how long the situation will be under management, but show compassion and empathy. And just a quick one, part of what is in the book that I wrote, In Search of Sanity, is that, I had my issues on campus, and I reached a point where I needed to get a wife to marry. But all the girls, there were total girls here that I'd grown up with, had seen me at my worst. No one wanted me. You see? So when I met the lady who's my dear wife now, she empathized with me. And you see, I'm saying this example to show that sometimes when you empathize, you have the capability or the potential to bring out the best out of the person. You see? So when I felt accepted and loved and comforted, I was able to now rally with the potential that is within me and success after success started coming. Yeah. The other thing about the caregivers, pray. It may be trivial. Some people look at prayers. Prayer is deep. It's a real thing, you know. Pray. It's a way heaven intervenes in the issues of the earth through prayer. You get it? So as a caregiver, if you are desperately fatigued, desperately tired, do pray. He gives strength. Waters in the desert land. Yeah. Then the other thing as a family, two things. Eki talked here about sometimes when the caregiving is very exhausting, hire a trained caregiver. You get it? It will release a bit of the hectic showering here, monitoring, and then you come in as and when you're from work, or you stay with them on Sunday. So employ such things. But most importantly, be united as a family. Yeah? Because this is one of you, it's not his fault that the thing has come on him. So then also, because it's not your fault as a person with a problem, have a good countenance.
You're in pain. Family is in pain. You're looking for money, you're looking for support, you're looking for help, mentally, emotionally drained. What is your message to those?
That's a power-packed question, eh? It's your power. You cannot summarize it in one phrase. But I noticed that on both spectrums, caregiver and the person suffering from whatever condition it is, because of the stress and strain, there's always unforgiveness. You get on either side. So, one, forgive one another. I may hurt you because of run away from the home because I want to express my ideas to Museveni, or you don't feel appreciated enough. I've finished bathing you, but you're worried because I've not put Vaseline on your body. Entitlement. You get it? Forgive one another. And then when you put on that blanket of forgiveness, you add love to it. At the basis of the foundation of the core of it all, it's love. Because you wouldn't want to care for a person you don't love. You see, you will give up very quickly. So love one another and forgive one another, especially on both spectrums. But most importantly, keep God in the mix. My friend. Yeah? You may not see him. He may seem absent. You may not. He's there. Sometimes his loudest speech is silence. Yeah? And then you walk in, do your daily disciplines, get up, pray, worship. Don't stop moving.
Because the people who reach a point and say, why am I even living on that? Let me stop. They give them medicine, they don't swallow the medicine. They give them what they are tired. They are like, calm faith.
Let God refresh you. Let God refresh you. Sometimes that's why I'm saying that when you keep the good friends, when you come to church, and you get another perspective of life. But when you isolate yourself, it becomes a bit problematic because the enemy, by the way, goes for those that are isolated. Now, when you're isolated, you've cut out everyone. He'll start whispering. So now he says, now they don't love me. Now I'm the worst. I'm finished. For when you go to realize, you want to take him in all the medicine in the corner and die. It terminates your life. So don't try to live life in community and know that suffering is on to everyone. And like I said, life is a railroad. As the things that are happening badly in your life, look at the good things also. I have light. I can see light outside the window.
You can see color.
You get it? And then
color.
count on those little blessings. People who are grateful. So when you appreciate it for that little thing, and you live a good life. And